What up, people? It is your boy, Mr. Nolan, one more time. Now, these are some practice problems on classifying numbers, so I'm going to do this with y'all so you have something to study. Number one says Sarah and James each believe they have written a number that represents both. It has to be a rational number and an integer. Now, I'm going to go ahead and draw my little circles like I did in the previous one. The smallest circle is our whole number. Then we have our integers. And then we have our rational numbers. Now remember, the small circle can fit into the bigger circle. So all whole numbers are integers. All whole numbers are rational numbers. All integers are also rational numbers. But can you go from the big circle down? So are all rational numbers integers? No. So this first one is negative 2/3. Well, if it's a fraction that cannot simplify to a whole number, that's a rational number. If it's a rational number again, is it an integer? No. So Sarah's number is negative 2/3. Is it both rational and an integer? No. Sarah's wrong, but it's okay. James has the negative whole number of -4. He has a whole number of -4. Well, are all integers also rational numbers? Yes. Ding, 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 ding. Attaboy, James, you got it right. So James is correct. Because all integers are also rational numbers. Okay, I'm going to zoom in so we can see this a little bit better. I know it's kind of hard to see. Which diagram below correctly displays the relationship between the sets of numbers? Remember, the smallest circle has to be a whole number. Well, that says integer. That's no good. Well, that says whole number. I got a shot there. This says rational numbers in the small circle. That's no good. This also says rational number. That's no good. B is the answer. B. You go from whole numbers to integers to rational numbers. Now remember, on a test on Friday, you're going to have to be able to do this. You're going to have to be able to label correctly. Now, which names can describe the classification for the following sets of numbers? You have 3, 6, 12, 35, and 56. Well, those are all whole numbers, which is correct. But remember, all whole numbers are also integers, and all whole numbers are also rational numbers. So since all of these are whole numbers, it fits into all three of them. So that answer would be D. Now, on a test, if it asks, where do these numbers best fit? Which one does it best fit at? It would be whole numbers only. That's only if it asks on a test, where does it best fit? It's like, where does it start out at? Okay. Number 4, which of the following statements is always true? All integers are whole numbers. Well, can you go from an integer to a whole number? Can you go backwards? No. All whole numbers are integers. Well, that's true. You can go from small to big here, so that works. Some whole numbers are not rational numbers. That would be false because all whole numbers fit into all rational numbers, so that's no good. All rational numbers are also integers. Again, that's not right. You can't go from big to small. That doesn't work. Number 5, which number does not represent a whole number? Well, 8's a whole number. 12's a whole number. A negative whole number is known as a integer. 15 divided by 3 gives you 5, which is a whole number. So the answer would be C. Which of the following is a rational number but not an integer? So it's a rational number, but it cannot go down. But this -3 is an integer. Not what I'm looking for. 32.5 is a rational number, so that's good. That could be our answer. 14 divided by 2 is 7. That's a whole number. Again, our whole numbers, rational numbers, they can be, but that's not what I'm looking for. It's asking which one is just a rational number. Plus, is 7 an integer? No, not going to work. 6 is also just a whole number. Not going to work. So the decimal here is your rational number. Which diagram below shows the numbers categorized incorrectly in the Venn diagram? Well, let's start here with C. 0, 15, 67. Those are whole numbers. Those three are whole numbers. They work. -54, -17. Those are integers. Those also work. We have a decimal. We have a decimal. Those fit correctly right there. All those work. I'm looking for the one that does not work. Whole numbers, 8, 65, and 215, those work. Integers, -1 works. -5.5. Can you have a decimal as an integer? No, you cannot. That belongs here with the rational numbers. So this one looks like it's going to be our answer. It does not work. But just to make sure, on A, all whole numbers, that works. Your integers are negative whole numbers, that works. And your rational numbers are the fractions that can't reduce to a whole number, and your decimals. This is written correctly. We were looking for the one that was not correct. All right, almost done. Which best describes the classification for the following sets of numbers? We have -4.5, -1, 13, and 3.5. So which best describes the classification for the following sets of numbers? Well, let's see here. We have our whole numbers, we have our integers, and we have our rational numbers. So I have a whole number of 13. I have an integer of -1. And I have a rational number of 3.5 and -4.5. So which best describes the classification for the following sets of numbers? Well, guys, remember the whole number can fit into the integer and it can also fit into the rational number. But can the rational numbers work backwards? No, it cannot. So all of these numbers fit only into one category. All of them fit into rational numbers. Some of you are saying that makes no sense. Again, the small circle fits into the bigger circle, and it fits into the biggest circle as well. So all these numbers fit just into the rational numbers there. Now, will you see a test question similar to this? Probably not like this hard, but it's still good just to see it. Number 2, which set or sets does the number 15 belong to? Well, 15 is a whole number. A whole number fits into an integer, and it also fits into a rational number. So 15 best fits into all three of them. So that answer would be D. Which of the following statements about rational numbers is correct? All rational numbers are also whole numbers. Again, you can't go from the big circle to the small circle. That does not work. All rational numbers are also integers. Once again, you can't go from a big circle to a small circle. It will not fit in there. Does not work. All rational numbers can be written in the form A over B. That's true. It's a fraction. And D says rational numbers cannot be negative. Well, rational numbers can be negative. So that best fits C. And we got one more question. To which set or sets does the number 2/3 belong to? Well, 2/3 is a fraction that cannot reduce to a whole number. It best fits in a rational number. Can it fit anywhere else? The answer is no. It's a rational number only. Alright guys, please watch these 3 videos that I created today. They will help you out with your test, which is on Friday. If you have any questions, ask me in class or send me a nice little email. I'll respond. Alright guys, talk to you later. Bye.